hello, we're back again, and let's hope this time it works. So I went and I reset the router and everything, so just in case it was anything on our end, at least we should have that now and get that taken care of. Let me get you guys caught back up here. Except everything is now being super slow, because of course, why wouldn't it when you do a live video, right? So here we go, and I think this is us now, so I think we're here. All right, so welcome back to those of you guys who are here, because it's
nobody's here yet.
I know they will be, though. I think they'll join us. They'll find us again, hopefully. We'll see. So, oh good heavens, come on. I don't know why this is so difficult. Maybe I'm gonna have to give up on the live broadcast. I don't know. It's so interesting that it would be like this.
Maybe
so,
you should do it some other time.
So why are you off the video now? Because now they can hear you. So they know you're here, Dingling. All right.
I'm just a really good ventriloquist.
Everybody.
Yes, I'm very. So welcome back.
50 people.
So hopefully this will be good. And again, you guys, if it's really bad, I am recording it, so we can always come back and re-edit the video and put it up there.
Thanks, person who sent the unicorn puppy. So
yes.
Everybody, our internet's going from bad to good to bad to good. Right now, it's staying good.
Yeah, let's hope it stays good, right? Yes, let's hope it stays good. Okay, so what we want to do today, what are we making today, girls?
Fidget spinner ring.
A fidget spinner ring,
Right?
that is right.
That's what Kate asked.
Yes, so if you guys have not noticed already, my girls are somewhat ADD, especially this one.
What is
This one's
ADD?
ADHD.
What does that mean?
You are hyperactive and cannot stay on task. So one of the things that I have done with my girls, because all of us are very ADD and very ADD, well, only one is ADHD, but we're all very ADD. And so one of the things, you, me, Riley, Kate, all of us. And so one of the things that I have found kind of helps my girls is if they've got some kind of a fidget toy or a fidget item, and that will help them kind of as they're working through things, kind of spend that little bit of energy or anything like that. So what we're going to do today is we are going to be doing spinner rings. Now, because our connection is so bad, I'm not...
Oh, it's bad.
I know. Shh.
Bad right
I know. It's okay. It's okay.
It went from
Okay, it's fine. So anyway, because it is like this, we're going to hurry through this a little bit differently than what I was going to do. So rather than show you every little step, I'm just going to show you kind of where I've got things to right now as far as prepared. Can you stop? Oh my goodness. See, I'm telling you, these girls cannot even hold still. So you always are going to hear the chairs moving, or they're going to be picking things up or talking and interrupting.
I'll stay still.
And I have to do it for 5 more weeks. Yay! So anyway, what I'm going to do now, here's another thing too, you guys. I have a very thorough tutorial on how to make fidget spinner rings from scratch, like from the very basic, like you just have your sheet and you have your wire. It's about 23 or 26 pages long. There's about 80 pictures in there. It's very detailed, and I think it's only like, I don't know, it might be $20, if that, $15, $20, something like that. It's out on my website, melissamuir.com. So if you guys are interested in that, it's an automatic download. So you would just add it to your cart, pay for it, and it automatically sends the document to you. So that's something that you can look into. There's a big troubleshooting section in there as well. So, you know, there's several common things that happen when you are doing spinner rings. And so I address those and how to fix those or how to avoid those, because really the avoidance is the big part of that. You want to avoid that. So I wanted to show you a new tool that Bill Fritz just came out with. He brought it with him to Tucson. Matter of fact, it still is in production right now. So even if you order it right now, it won't ship until mid-April. So they're coming, but that's how new it is. And I was very fortunate that I was able to procure one of these for you guys so that I can show you guys how to use it. And there's several different systems for making spinner rings out there. Now I also have, there's at least one other video out here on YouTube that shows how to make a spinner ring. And I also have, as part of the projects of Alan Revere's, and I don't recall which project it is. It's like 12 or 13 or something like that. I don't even remember which ring it is, but it's the donut ring, and the concept there is the same as well. So there's a number of tools out there that you can use, and I can make any of them work, you know, as long as you figure out how to move the metal if it doesn't move properly. Because a lot of times what'll happen is, especially if you're using, let's say, a dapping punch, because that is the most common way. Matter of fact, that is how I show in my tutorial. In the description of the video, I will include all the links to the different tools that I'm using, whether it's the frets tools. What?
I like your ears.
Oh, thank you. She was just looking at me really odd.
And they sent my unicorn and puppies.
That's good. We like unicorns and puppies.
Earrings.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Pretty.
Daddy bought them for me.
Oh, that's right.
In Venice.
I remember.
All right. So anyway, so people will typically use a dapping punch and a dapping set to create these spinner rings. So I'll show you a little bit of that, but I also want to show you kind of how we get to a certain phase. So first thing I need to do is I need to determine how wide my band is going to be. And in this case, it is 10 millimeters wide. So this one is really, really small because it's going to be for that one right there. So she's got little tiny fingers. So this one's only going to end up being a size 4 for her index finger. But this is where I kind of start.
Is that your pointer finger?
Yes, it is. And Kate decided that she also wanted one for her index finger. So we measured it out. So we've got different ring sizers. You would go through and you figured out what size your ring is. And then from there, yes, and from there you will kind of figure out measurement wise. And in that tutorial that I told you guys about, there is also a ring sizing chart. So it shows you if you're using like 20 gauge or 14 gauge or whatever, and then all the different sizes, what stock you need or what size you're going to need for that blank. So try that on your finger, please. So what I did was I cut out the blank and I used a ring mandrel. I rounded it out, soldered it closed, and then I rounded it out again after I did that second rounding out to make sure that we had a nice circle. Does it fit all right? A little tight? Okay, so this is actually a little tight, which is good because that means I get to show you how we're going to address it. Now you can't get it off. Well, you're not supposed to stick it all the way on if you can't, if it's too tight, dingling.
I don't know.
So this is the fun part of our projects. Here we go.
Okay,
all right,
I'm not gonna do it
she
anymore.
says,
You got stuck on me.
oh yeah?
You're
Okay.
getting stuck everywhere.
So anyway, she says that this is a little bit tight, which is actually not too big of an issue right now because as we do that anti-clastic forming, it is going to open up those sides a little bit. When you have a really thick band, you need to add an additional 0.5 millimeters. And that is going to allow you, because right now with a really thick band, you've got so much material on your finger covered that it kind of spreads out. So you have a higher contact point with a thicker band than you do a thinner band. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to stretch this a little bit. Now we can do this by adding a texture. Kate, do you want a texture on it? If you do, I need one of the other hammers. So actually, tell you what. So I'm going to go grab another hammer. So hold tight and I'll let the girls entertain you.
What do you mean, like
Big on or too small on purpose?
I did not. I made it the size you told me to.
7.5?
No, you told me an 8. Okay, so what we're gonna
one of these, but then it
all right, Kate.
stuck.
You guys
Now
are
my
silly.
finger's all red.
Taller and shorter.
See?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do. what I'm going to do is, you're too skinny, it won't work.
Aw, you mean too light.
Yeah, you're too light. All right, I'm gonna use a planishing hammer, and we're just going to kind of go on this or on the ring, and I'm not going to do it very hard because I don't want to stretch it very much. But what I'm going to do is just give a hammered texture. Now, because I'm doing this, I am now going to need to anneal this before I do the flaring of it. So I just go and work my way around the ring mandrel. And I'm just very, very, very gently tapping on this. So my pattern or my texture is going to be pretty subtle.
Did you change it?
Oh yeah, change that. Well, they could see it there too. But yeah, anyway, thank you. This is a better view. Okay, so I'm just gonna, and again, I'm just doing very light taps, but at the same time, it is definitely stretching this ring. Now, another thing that I need to do is take it off, flip it around, and do it from the other side as well, so that because your ring mandrel is tapered, and so we need to make sure that it's even. Okay, so Kate, at this point, we have about an 8.5. Try that now.
I don't want to try any smaller
Put your
ones.
finger, whoops.
I went to grab it and you...
I don't want to try any other
So,
smaller ones.
of course, the ring rolled away.
I don't want to try any other small.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Is that better?
Because I
Okay,
hurt my
so it's still a little bit tight, which is okay, because as we flare this, what's going to happen is we are going to get that concave shape, and only just a small amount of this is actually now going to make contact with her finger. So I am going to need to anneal this really quickly and pickle that one more time. What? Okay, what does annealing mean? So for those of you guys who may not know what some of those terms are, annealing is when you hit this with a torch. So Kate, actually, why don't you go get me that white torch over there? Please bring that over here. So this, when you heat up your piece, it is going to kind of work on your metal at the molecular structure. So right now, all of the molecules, well, first of all,
a lot.
I know, it's okay. So when you have the molecular structure of a piece, you know, all the molecules are lined up kind of in a grid pattern. And when it's soft or annealed, those grids are kind of open and they're able to move around a little bit. But as you work that metal, kind of like if you take a paper clip and you kind of bend it back and forth, eventually that paper clip is going to break. So what's going to happen is that molecular structure gets more and more compact. Now, if that happens, your metal is not going to move. So we want our metal to move. So I am going to pull in our little soldering station here. Kate, I need some water in this bowl, please.
Goodbye.
Okay, go get me some water.
How full do you want it?
About halfway. Please. Thank you. No, it's fine. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my ring on here. Now, the torch that I'm using, let's see if I can get this into your view. The torch that I'm using is going to be that little Hottie, the white one that we showed you guys the other day. So this is kind of like my Jumbo Max torch. So this is the one I'm going to use. Thank you.
Is that one mine?
Bring in our little bowl of water. Nope,
no,
this was
that
Kate's.
one's Kate's.
All right, so what I'm going to
Can
do...
I put it in the water?
I don't know. No, let me just do that part for now. So I'm just going to heat this up, and I don't need to heat it up very much, but I want to see, and it's going to be a little harder for me to see here because I have so much light, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just come in, kind of kiss it a little bit, and come back in, kiss it with that heat, and I'm looking to see kind of a little bit of pinkness on my ring, and I see it right there.
Yeah.
So that is good. So now what we're going to do, Kate, go take this over and put it in the pickle pot, please. We will pickle that.
What does that do? Clean it?
No, so, oh yes, the pickle cleans it off. So the pickle is an acid. Now I use pH down for my acid. And there's a number of things you can do. You can use citric acid. You can use, like some people will do a salt and vinegar. There's also asparagus. I know, it's because we're having so many difficulties. So
sorry, guys.
Anyway, hang in there. And like I said, I'll just put this together as the video at the end, and you guys won't miss anything. So you won't be able to see this live video afterwards. I'll keep that down, and then we'll just edit it and throw it up as a regular video. Okay, so Chiari, we now have another ring that is ready, however, and this one is brass. This has already been annealed. It's going to be too big for you, but we'll do yours after we get done with the video. So anyway, so we do have some of these rings. It's just a little brass ring. This one I believe is about a size 7. Okay, so what I want to do though is I'm going to make the spinners as well. So let me show you guys this real quick. Let me zoom in here for you. So what I've done is I've taken some 16 gauge wire, and I wanted to figure out, you know, the size that I would need to make this go around here. Now I have a couple of options that I can do. Either I can wrap the wire around this ring, mark it, and then cut it. It's okay, Chiari, it's all right. We've already got our solution figured out, okay? All right, so another thing that I can do is I can take a ring sizer and I can attempt to put the ring into one of these ring sizers, and that will indicate to me what size I need to make a ring. Okay, so there we go. And in this case, this is a 9.5. Oh, there we go. Now I'm on screen for you guys. So this is a 9.5. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to fit it into one of the ring sizers like that. Okay, and then I'll look to see what it says. So like I said, 9.5 in this case. So then I'll look at my little ring chart and I look up for 16 gauge wire, how long do I need this? And so I'll cut it to that length, turn it around, solder it, and then reshape this. So now I know that these are going to fit on my brace or on my ring just like so. Okay, and that's what we want to have. So let me zoom this back out a little bit. So this is the tool I was telling you guys about that Bill Fretz came out with, and it's really kind of a cool tool. So again, just like in Bill Fretz fashion, I mean, it's beautifully finished, so you should not have any problems with it marring up your metals or anything like that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to place our ring onto this. Now, I'm going to place this inside of that, and I'm going to use a hammer. And in this case, I really like this stamping hammer. This is the hammer that I introduced you guys to the other day.
And the silver.
No, brass. It's brass.
Whatever it's called.
And then the steel. Okay, so you have your two
gold
ends.
And silver, okay?
It is gold and silver.
At least it looks gold.
Yep, brass looks gold. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brass hide, and I'm going to just tap down a couple of times. Now, I don't want to do too much, but if I pull this out and I look here, I now have a beautifully curved edge. And I'm going to flip this over, and I also want to check to make sure, you know, that I don't make it so I can't get my rings on here. Okay.
You also want to make sure that they don't fall off.
Yes. So I'm actually going to put those rings on there right now. That part is not going to spread as much because, again, it's just on the flat surface, and wherever this touches is going to spread that a little bit more. So we'll come back down again. Now notice
8 times.
I did that one like, yeah, a few. So there we go. Now this time, those do not come off. See how they're stuck on there? And that's kind of what we want to see. So I'm going to flip this back over again.
Otherwise you're going to be stuck with just a normal ring.
Yeah. So I never want to do one side completely. You always want to flip this. So now I'm going to spread this side again.
10. That was 9.
That was 5. Okay. And now if I wanted to, I could leave this where it's pretty subtle. But if I look at this right now, if I hold this up like this, I can see that this side right here is flared up just a little bit more. Kiari, do you want to try hitting this one for us?
Yay! Okay.
Okay.
Let me put my blanket. I'll just put my blanket
All right, come here.
right there.
Okay, so you want to hold this and you're going to hammer down on that one, okay? Hold the hammer back here.
Back here?
There you go.
How many times?
Do it 4 times. Whoa, okay, only 2 on that kind of a hit. That was a really hard hit.
I didn't know.
No, that's okay. It was all right. All right, so looking at this, we're actually pretty good now. So good job.
Curved on both sides.
Yeah, it is curved on both sides.
I didn't mean to hit it too hard.
That's okay. That was actually the perfect amount. What, Kate? So this is what you end up with when you work with something like that. Now, if you wanted to have your band textured, I would texture your band first while it's flat and then cut your size, because as you're texturing your metal, it's going to stretch a little bit. So when you have something like that, oh, well, actually, let's back up a bit. What happens if the rings that I make here are too small? What would you do then? What if they didn't fit on my ring? Then what would we do?
Remake it on
You don't actually have to remake it. So remember,
wait.
I didn't have to remake Kate's ring. What did I have to do?
Put it in the piccolo?
I had to stretch it.
I don't think it'd be very
Oh,
good.
yeah, I forgot.
I don't think it'd do you very well if you put it in my instrument.
No.
In your
All right.
what?
You said
So-
piccolo.
No, she said the pickle.
Oh, I heard.
All right, so let's say that one of these rings was too
No, I
small.
said piccolo.
yeah.
All right.
On
Very
accident.
well to put it in an instrument.
Okay, let's say
That's
that.
an accident because I don't know what it's called.
I'm not going to survive. I'm not. All right, so when we have this, if I wanted to texture this, I would probably take like my sharp texturing hammer, or you could even do it with like your planishing hammer still. But as long as you've got that steel hammer on your steel ring mandrel, you could come in here and again, just like we did the other ring, you could stretch this out. All right, so that's one of the things that I like to do.
But don't push it down too far or else it'll break.
Okay, it can, but what happens if we
Well,
make
it's
the
metal.
okay? But what happens if we make this ring too big?
Then you just
Can't you like
You
cut
just,
out
like-
a little bit and
Yeah, but what if I didn't want to re-solder everything?
or you could just bring it up to here and
Resolder
smash
everything.
it all together.
No, so let me show you another trick that I like to do.
solder.
Oh, what?
You take it and you just squish it together.
No, you can't just squish it together. That doesn't make it smaller. But what I do, and actually let me change our view here.
Oh, I know.
What?
It's like a normal ring where. One second, I'll be right back. I'll go grab the ring and shove it.
All right. Well, while she's doing that, let me show you. So one of the things that I will do, if this ring happens to be too big for my inner band that I'm going to use, and let's say I don't want to texture it, or maybe I do want to texture, or maybe I did texture and I made it too big. But what I'll do is I will take my pliers, and you can either do this with your round nose or your chain nose, and probably your round nose might be a little bit better, but you can come in and you can start to put little bends and kinks in this and do kind of like a zigzag pattern. Okay. And this one's a little bit harder because I did not anneal this again after I rounded it up. But you get the idea. So let's say that I just take this now and I would slip that onto the ring, and now my ring has kind of that little ripple effect to it.
Look. So it's like
when
that.
you go to cheapo rings.
No, it's not quite like that. So she was thinking that I would end up making it adjustable like you do have on these little rings like this, where it just is adjustable.
I don't know
but that
what
is not the
happened
case.
to all my other rings, though.
I don't either. We'll have to find them.
Oh, I know where one of them are. It's a flower one. Daddy accidentally stepped on it while we were watching a movie one time, and then you said that you.
What was it doing on the floor?
I don't know. I had
Because
it.
you know that's where we put our jewelry.
I had
So
it
anyway,
on the tray,
that's
and
what
then
you
I guess it fell off.
Okay.
What do you do with the
I
cheap
think it
jewelry?
fell
Yes.
off.
Okay, so that's one of the things that you can do. So if it's too small, you can either stretch it. If you don't want to have much of a texture, then I would use that flat end of the planishing hammer. And but it is going to give you a flattened look to that wire on that outer edge there. Then,
there we go.
Then if you want a texture, you can have the rounded end. Oh goodness, guys. You can have the rounded end, and that will give you a slight texture. If you use any of those cross peen hammers, that's going to give you a different texture. If you make it too big, your options are to either cut out a section and resolder this ring, or you can then begin to add some little decorative things. Now, other things that you can do too, like we just did little plain bands. So very, very simple, very easy, but yet it's enough. It does what my girls need it to do. It gives them something to fidget with because they wear it on their index finger, and that way then they can just do this with their thumb. It's something that is very discreet and nobody else, it's not bugging anybody. And that's one of the things that I like about these for my girls when they're trying to do homework and whatever else. But other things that I could have done to this is I could solder on like a stone setting or something like that, but keep in mind that anything that's going to be like that is going to need to be counterbalanced. So and you can also, right here I just did 16 gauge, but you could do sheets so that it's a little bit wider. So you have a few options that are there.
This is just a basic one.
This is just a basic one. I'm going to have Kate finish up her ring, and I will throw that onto the video so you guys can see how easy it is. I mean, you just saw Kiari do it. She's 9 and she went full force at it. I really do like this particular hammer for this. It's got some good weight to it. This is only the 1 pound hammer. When I was doing this with the tool here, I did not need a whole lot of force. She went after it really good. So those 2 strikes of hers took me right where we needed to be. The key to this is that when you're going through this, you want to do a little bit on one side, flip it over, do a little bit on the other side. Before you get that flare too far, make sure you've got your little spinners on there, or else all you have is an anti-clastic ring. And ask me how many times that has happened.
A lot.
Not a lot, but it has happened a few times. All right, so Kate's ring is now pickled. It's done. If I want to polish this up, this is the time now to polish this so that I have whatever finish I'm after before I put the spinners on and before I do the flaring. Okay, and I want to be very gentle with that because, again, I don't want to harden this up. A lot of times, a common problem with spinner rings is when you go to flare, you're going to split. And sometimes it doesn't even split at the seam. Like I've had a lot of students that have split in other areas.
Kind of sucky.
It does stink when that happens. So really quickly, let me actually show you this. Actually, let's do it with, we'll do it with our bench block.
You gonna come in?
Yes. Okay, so let me show you guys this really fast. So Kate, we have, I think I have 2 spinners that will fit your ring. Let's see, double check here. And maybe they won't now that we've stretched your ring. Oh, yeah, they do. That one fits, and that one fits.
Okay.
Okay, so here's another way that I do this. I really do like this tool right here. What? You're dropping bracelets or what? Good heavens. Sounded like a necklace broke over there. The thing I like about this, don't carry, not right now.
Dapping beads.
Yes. Okay, so the thing that I like about this tool is that it's nice and even around. It's got that taper. It will do this quite evenly. But as I'm doing this, stop. What are you?
Set it back to life. It was behind a lot.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So anyway, as I'm doing this, it's going to evenly flare this, but I will turn this a little bit as I do it. And then again, you want to make sure that you flip it over. The traditional way that I have done this before, hang on, let me zoom out for just a second. Let me show you guys another tool that I use. Kiara, please stop.
This one?
Okay, that's just too much noise. No. So another tool that I really like to use is my dapping set.
Or the crocodiles.
Oh, the calipers. No, the calipers. Calipers are for measuring.
Talk about it.
Okay, so what I would do here is when I want to do this, I want to come in with a dapping punch, like so. Now, Kate, you are going to use this, and you're going to hold down here. So you want to kind of stabilize your hand so that your punch is straight up and down, and then give a couple taps. I would use the brass side, honey. Okay, hold the hammer like I told you before.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, now tap down, but not super hard, but not super light either. Oh, that's light. Okay, one more.
I'm trying to.
Okay, a couple more. Okay. All right, so those were some pretty big taps. And if we pull this out and look at it, there is a curve starting to happen. Now, a lot of times what happens when you are using a dapping punch is this is where we really start to get wonky or off-sided. And that is because people will end up, they think that they're holding it straight or they think they're hammering straight down, but they aren't. And they hit off to the side a little bit. And one of the things I like about the Durston Dapping Set is that it's rounded up here so that you really do hit a lot more direct on that top end. Okay, so that is one of the things that I like about the Durston set. So what I would do is I would continue that way and flare this out, but like I said, again, a lot of times people end up where they're a little lopsided. So it's important that you take a look at where you are, and more often than not, where your seam is where it's going to be straight, and that's because that solder does not move the same way as the rest of the silver does. So Kate, what we're going to do is now I'm going to have you do it on this one.
Do you want me to use this?
Yes, yep, you're still going to use that hammer. I love that hammer. That hammer is fantastic for doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to put it back onto here. All right, and let's put it in the smaller hole. So there's another thing too. Notice that there's two holes.
Yeah.
So if I've got a larger ring, then I can use the larger one. And then since these rings are a little smaller, we're going to go smaller. Okay,
Mine's definitely
not yet. So go ahead and tap down a couple of times, not quite as hard as what you did before. And one more, a couple more times.
5, 6.
Okay, so now if we look at this, we have it now where it's flaring more. I'm going to flip that over, and now we put our rings on. There we go. And now you're going to hit the same amount of times again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
She did it 6 times.
Yep.
Each time.
All right, so I think you can hit a little bit harder because you did not flare much at all. All right, so that's how you want to do this, is you want to test it. No, keep going. You're going to have to hit a couple times.
2, 3, 4,
And go.
5.
Okay. So then we're going to take it off.
5 times like that.
All right, so this, notice that our rings no longer come off, so that's good. But we want to continue to flare this out. So now you're going to do it some more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, and one of the things that I'm noticing is she's starting to hit kind of off to the side a little bit. So we want to double check our ring, and sure enough, right here, I have a little bit of a flat spot. When I get a little flat spot, a lot of times I will take a planishing hammer or a smaller hammer, and I will just kind of help that little edge by bringing it out.
The reason I was hammering over this side because it kept leaning to that side when I would hit it.
Well, that's because you have to have the technique to hold it straight. So notice that when I hold this, I've braced one finger here, and then I'm going to brace and hold the rest of this here. All right, and then we're going to flip it over and we'll do the same thing again. Okay, and at this point I can see that it's really starting to move nicely. My rings are spinning well, so I'm happy about that. But I am going to flare this just a little bit more. You don't want to flare it too much, otherwise it gets to be uncomfortable when you wear it. Like it pinches in between your fingers if you've got two pieces of metal sticking out. Kate, why don't you try this on?
Oh.
Okay, and hold it here so that they can see. So it fits
like
well.
that
Do you like
way.
that? Is it comfortable?
I like it how it has that like.
Okay, and if you'll notice, it's going to be a little bit, like it took a little effort to get it off, but not too much. And that's what we want to see. Because if it's too much effort to get it off, then that means that it's too tight. Right, so if it's, you know, you want it to be snug enough, but not too snug.
Snug.
snug. That means a little bit tight.
So that means when you do this, it won't fly off?
Yes, she says when you do this with your hands, it won't fly off.
Or if
and
you
correct.
do or if you clap, because I have some rings that do that.
Your rings fall off when they clap?
Clap.
Well, I have some.
Well, that's because your your fingers are itty bitty. So, and you just locked my chair.
Itty bitty mini.
All right, you guys. We're gonna go work on editing this video and getting it back up for you. Again, in the description of the video, I will include links to all the tools I've used, as well as the tutorial that I have out on my website. But otherwise, it's just out there. It's at melissamuir.com. And we will see you guys next time. And we'll see, maybe we just won't be able to do live videos. Who knows? We'll give it our best shot. Well, okay, so we've got a unicorn and a bunny now. Have a good day, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.